CoinMarketCap actually was one of the first to pioneer a way to measure the cryptocurrency market cap versus others in the space, like Bitcoin, for example. So really the founder, when he started CoinMarketCap, like he wanted a way for himself to be able to track other cryptocurrencies versus Bitcoin. So I think he popularized some of the terms that we use, like, so in the name like CoinMarketCap, so he actually borrowed market cap as a concept from traditional finance and then used also like the public float concept and turn that into circulating supply. So I think like some of the terms that we use today actually originate from that. And I think we put a lot of focus into actually researching each of the coins and exchanges that we put on the site. And so I think a lot of that rigor helps in ensuring that the data is accurate and up to date. So we're a fully remote team. Like right now I'm based in Singapore, but I have other team members that are based in various cities across the US, across Asia. So we don't really have an office anywhere in the world. So it's been quite interesting working in a completely remote environment. So I think I've been with CoinMarketCap for over a year. So after I sold my last company that was in the AI space, so someone told me something funny that like if you can read AI papers, you can read blockchain papers. So I started reading a lot of that, and I got to know the founder of CoinMarketCap through like 6 degrees of connection. So I think he told me about CMC, and I felt like it was a really good way to find out more about the high level of each kind of crypto and also exchange, and like get to know everyone in the space better and understand like where they're going. So I think that's why I feel like I have a strong connection to what CMC is doing, which is getting more information to more people around the world about cryptocurrency, helping to drive adoption. My family was quite into crypto, so like some of them actually already held cryptocurrencies. So I think it was an easy transition for me. So I think this was interesting for the company and also for me personally. When I looked at the trends, kind of tracking how the prices have been moving up and down over the last 6 years that CoinMarketCap has been in existence, actually, like I see a lot of cycles going on. So I think like when people were panicking, like, oh, this is crypto winter, like this is the bear market, like are we over? Is like crypto like completely done? And I think like I always pull out the chart and show them like, here's the dips and here are the kind of like rises of Bitcoin price over time. So like using that as an illustration, like this is just another cycle. So I think, yeah, there's not that much to panic about. And I think more and more we see that there's more fundamentals in the space. So I think like that's definitely encouraging, just kind of like network activity, also adoption, more interest in the media as well. I think like we're at a pretty good position compared to the last run. So I think like hopefully we can sustain and also just build up, not just momentum on the price obviously, but momentum on everything else that we've been working on. I mean, I think there are a number of challenges that people have talked a lot about. So obviously other than adoption, it's like scalability, things like that. And I think for us, like in our position, like adoption is probably the most important piece that we can help to solve. So, kind of popularizing people's kind of attention around cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin especially. So I think that that's something that we personally could work on at CoinMarketCap. So I think we've been trying to do a lot of that, driving kind of crypto education, having like guides on the site. So people come on the site and sometimes they say, well, like I see a list of like coins, so like what do I do with that? So I think we're trying to create more guides, and also we have a data newsletter, kind of Telegram channels and stuff where we actually help people to understand that. So I think like as we scale up our efforts to drive in kind of like acquisitions on these channels, like people can actually also feel like they know fundamentally like why this is important, like why get into Bitcoin, like what issues does it solve, and why is it worth their time. I think that Bitcoin obviously is a start to a new way to think about transfer of value, right? So I think previously, we have all these entrapments where you actually really have to trust the people that, handle your money, or like when you try to transfer something over something like the internet, like you tend to have some kind of fear. So I think like as we have kind of more the rise of like different bits of technology. So for example, like AI or VR, and on top of the internet, like kind of moving faster, and also the rise of other kind of developing countries. I think there are many different ways that like the world would develop, and cryptocurrency Bitcoin can obviously play a very big role in that, which is first solving some of the trust issues, and also at the same time, like being able to use that to really have a peer-to-peer kind of transfer in value that wasn't really possible before. So I think like for us, like we are actually really big supporters of decentralized finance and some of these other initiatives to get people to have that kind of access to money and like what form of money that is, like maybe that's Bitcoin. And I think like we do feel like it's important for us to continue to go down that route and like make that more accessible to more and more people. So I think like in the next 20 to 50 years, like that would be something that we feel like would be critical to some of the kind of ongoing developments around the world. And then I guess like 100 years down the road, obviously I think like we would still need a way to have a store of value and a medium of transfer. So I think that it will continue to play that role, especially if we all live in virtual worlds. It will it will be critical to being able to live in that world. So I think for CoinMarketCap today, we actually announced that we made our first acquisition of a team, and they're going to improve our price algorithms. So right now, I think a lot of our algorithms are driven by 24-hour volume data. So I think what we're going to do is move towards live data and also much more robust pricing algorithms that will be based on just kind of relationships between market data instead of just pulling and aggregating the data using a volume-weighted average price. So I think going forward in the next couple of months, we're actually going to revamp a lot of our pricing algorithms on the site. So I think that's super exciting. And also, I think in November, we're going to have our own CoinMarketCap conference. So I think it will be a way for people to get together, and it will be quite different from some of the other conferences. So we designed it to be an experiential conference. So people can actually work with displays and like other kind of experiences on site. So I think it'll be like a different way to experience crypto. So I think that's upcoming in November. And also I think like just in general, a lot of the stuff that we're working on crypto education, like we were talking about, I think we are looking for people who can help us to push some of these initiatives or are interested to work with us to make adoption of crypto much more widespread. So I think that those are things that we are all super excited about.